Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell at the top so you can be notified when we drop new videos. Another great debate. We're going to talk about Brandon Moreno. So a few weeks ago, we did a YouTube short where we basically said, well, I felt like this. I don't know if you did. Did you?
I was 50-50 with it.
I said that on the pound for pound list, Jamahal Hill should not have been ranked behind Brandon Moreno. Now, I want to make it very clear. I don't think that either of them should have been ranked higher than where they were. I just felt like even if it was by one spot, Jamahal should have been ahead of Brandon. And this is my logic behind it. Brandon had 4 title fight opportunities. If you have 4 title fight opportunities versus somebody who got 1 opportunity and they won it on short notice against somebody who they were an underdog against, and most people thought they were going to lose, I have to rank you higher. And especially at the time, neither one of them had a title defense. Now, neither one of them will have a successful one because Brandon just lost 2 weeks ago and Jamahal had to relinquish his belt because he got injured. So
I think people have amnesia because they forget that at the time, people thought that Glover was going to beat Jamahal Hill. Nobody expected Jamahal Hill to beat Glover.
Or beat him the way he did. So we got a lot of weird comments in the video. You can go look for yourself. We won't repeat them here because we keep in the MMA. So it's not about nothing else. But the narrative of the comments was kind of weird because the same argument that they had for Jerry being this fantastic, amazing champion who would have beat John Jones in his prime. Like, do y'all realize that Glover was about to finish Jerry like 5 or 6 times in that fight? Well, Yuri, however you want to say it. I think it's Yuri, right?
I said Jerry. I don't know.
I think his name is Yuri. So Yuri almost got finished and barely made it out. Like, Jamahal dominated Glover. I think Glover had 1 takedown and Jamahal reversed it and dominated him on the ground. And he beat him, some of the scorecards was 50-45, 50-44. Yuri literally got almost finished several times and he was about to lose a decision at the very least. So if Yuri was in that same position as Jamahal, well, you won the belt but you didn't have no title defense, y'all were okay with Yuri being ranked super high on the pound for pound in a fight that he barely got by. But a fight that Jamahal won, that same fight, against the same fighter, and more impressively, and on short notice, and in that guy's hometown. Now, Jamahal, I don't think he should have been ranked super high, don't get me wrong. Just because you win the belt don't mean you get all the way up on the pound for pound list. But I'm saying, you're going to rank that person lower than Brandon Moreno, who, as exciting as he is, you had 4 opportunities. Think about it, you can give almost any UFC fighter 4 opportunities, and you don't think that any of these fighters could become a champion? Like, be real. If you give Cub Swanson 4 opportunities to fight Volk, you don't think he might catch him once? Maybe?
This is very subjective, and I think we're all entitled to our own opinion. This might be the 2 worst, I'm not gonna say worst weight classes, man, but like,
they're struggling right now.
To less competitive, the 2 less competitive male weight classes in the UFC. So like, whether you think that the light heavyweight division should be ranked lower or the flyweight division should be ranked lower is very subjective to whoever's saying it. But you can't come out and say that we're wrong. We're just giving our opinion on it.
And then it's crazy because, like, for instance, if Brandon Moreno had defended his belt, then the next video that we made about the subject would have been, yes, now you get to be ranked above Jamahal because guess what? You have a title defense and Jamahal does not at this point in time. You see how the narrative would change? Just because we're taking a certain stance on it, it doesn't mean we're against a certain fighter. I'm just saying at that point in time, where neither guy has a title defense and all the aforementioned things that I said, I would have to rank Jamahal even 1 spot ahead of the guy.
And also the fact that Brandon Moreno lost to somebody who beat him twice already before that 3rd fight, and the fact that he lost to somebody who, I know it's MMA math, but the guy who beat Brandon Moreno got destroyed by Davison, who was the guy who he dominated. So this weird thing where you're losing to these caliber of fighters, but then maybe the next one you'll win, make me think that maybe the next Davison fight, maybe you will lose.
And that's the thing.
You alternating wins and losses.
You're alternating wins and losses, but I don't think that if Glover and Jamahal rematch, which we know Glover retired. But if let's say in some alternate world they rematched, I don't think they're going back and forth. I think Jamal's beating him every single time, and he might be beating him worse and worse every time.
And the case is 2 things: the fact that Jamahal Hill never got a chance to defend his belt, and also the second thing that people can say to defend your argument is the fact that the light heavyweight division is a mess. It's been the mess since John Jones left.
It has been.
And then this weird thing with Magomed and Jan.
That fight.
And then that fight was weird. It ended weird. And then I think Magomed won the fight, but he didn't get the decision he deserved. And then now, and then Jury ended up becoming champion, and then he ended up having to give it up relinquished the belt, and then Jamal fought for the belt, he had to relinquish it. So it's like a lot of weird stuff.
So it's almost like, you know how you got your starter quarterback and then they get injured, and so then you got the next guy come off the bench and the next guy. So now we're down in the light heavyweight division. Jamal was behind John Jones, then you were behind Yuri, then you were behind Magomed and Yan, who fought for the belt, and Magomed probably should have had it. And so now basically Jamal was kind of like the next best guy out of all the things that happened.
Whenever you got Jan Blachowicz about to fight for, is he gonna fight for a belt with Alex?
I don't know if they announced anything like that yet.
But the fact that he's a contender and he's 40 years old, and there's no world where he can even go toe to toe with John Jones. That just shows
or
you
DC.
That just shows you how.
Oh, that's the other thing. Then you had
diluted the light heavyweight division is.
Because then even under John Jones, you had DC who was beating everybody else, but just couldn't beat John Jones, and then he was a champion. And so then it's kind of like, I know Jamal was kind of like the fourth or fifth guy after everything that happened, but the fact is he showed up, he showed out at the moment. And Brandon, like I said, Brandon had some good fights, but Brandon also had 4 opportunities. Look, if you have that many opportunities, that's crazy, because of course you might come out on top because you only got to win the most important one. That's the last one.
And also, I was saying that Robert Whitaker has less losses than Brandon Moreno, and Brandon was the champion.
And Brandon has historically alternated wins and losses, man. And I know the fights are really good. And the last fight is a fight of the year contender. Don't get me wrong. This is not about the quality of the fight. I'm saying when you alternating wins and losses like that, a big part of you being a champion and your aura is the chance that people have to beat you. Like your aura of not invincibility, but just as a champion, not that many people are supposed to be able to beat you. When you got that many losses, and then for instance, he might be fighting Pantoja again for a 4th time. This is finna be his 2nd quadrilogy. This is crazy. This is finna be potentially title fight number 6 in a row. Come on, man. Y'all, it kind of cheapens it. It's just weird. So they both, for different reasons, the light heavyweight and the flyweight are struggling. But the thing is, let's say if you were at a basketball game and they say, hey, we're going to give you $10,000 if you make this half-court shot. You only get one. If you make it the first time, that's going to be super exciting because of the fact that you only had one opportunity. Bro, if they give you 4 or 5 or 6 opportunities like Brandon might get, if you make one of them and get the $10,000, it's like, that's still great.
I think people had an issue with, more so with Jamahal Hill and the light heavyweight division. Because I think if you would have said any other weight class, I think you would have had an argument and a case. But the fact that it was Jamahal Hill and he's kind of like the 5th person.
Because I think this time last year, Jamal, he was barely in the light heavyweight.
Yeah. So he's like the 5th next best person in line, Jamahal Hill.
But even with that against him, he can't control that though. He still did what he was supposed to do.
I see what you're saying, because he still got one loss.
Because think about this.
It's not like he alternating wins and losses. He got one loss to Paul Craig.
And they can't even run that fight back because Paul Craig don't qualify for that fight. So I 100% believe that Jamal can avenge his losses, but Brandon has been given opportunities to avenge losses and he ain't even doing it.
I guarantee if we go on the streets and ask people, name 5 fighters in the UFC's male flyweight division, people can't even tell you. They may name one.
I'm going to be honest, in the light heavyweight division so bad, for the first time in years, casuals probably can't even name.
Yeah. And the reason why I said that about the flyweight division is...
For the light heavyweight division, but also...
Yeah, the reason why I say that about the flyweight division is because it shows you how diluted the weight class is. Because the middleweight division, well,
it's starting to pick up steam.
The middleweight division is a little bit, you know.
It depends on how these next few fights shape, man. Especially with Kamzat.
It's not okay. It's not like the lightweight division and the welterweight division. You know, it's not the most competitive, man. When you got Amir Albazi, who won controversially in his last fight, he's probably gonna get a title shot.
And he don't even have that many fights in the UFC. And he's ranked above everybody.
So why is John Jones the GOAT?
Huh?
It's a question. Why is he the GOAT? You know why he's the GOAT? Because he wins the fights, right?
Yes.
So if he gets points for winning fights, shouldn't we take points away from Brandon Moreno whenever he loses a fight? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the same time, we probably will never hear this topic again because Jamal just got injured and we don't know if he'll become champion again. And we don't know if Brandon Moreno will become champion again. It just at
they're not gonna stop until he do. So they might fight 10
times.
But
I see both sides though. You know, like I said, if it would have been Brandon Moreno being ranked higher than Izzy or somebody.
So the second half of my argument was going to be this, and then I'm going to wrap it up. I wasn't saying Jamal should have been ranked super high or nothing like that. Don't get me wrong. I believe he was in a good place. He just should have been ranked one spot above him and Brandon should have flipped places for the argument that I gave earlier. But I want to say this. Even with that being said, there was still work to do because the light heavyweight division needs to be built up right now. I'm saying Jamal had a lot of work to do, but he had the belt, and I was confident that he would be able to do that. But I'm saying, let's take Jamal out of it. Let's say if it wasn't Jamahal Hill. Let's say if Magomed had won against Yan like he was supposed to, and he hadn't defended his belt yet, because Magomed don't fight that often either, I don't think. So I still think that Magomed should have been ranked above Brandon Moreno, because again, that's your first title fight and you won. Supposed to have won at least.
I think they're both in the same situation, man, because who's the flyweight GOAT?
DJ.
Exactly. And if I'm gonna just be honest, who's the second one? Cejudo. I hate to say it. My point is, they both are in the same situation because the GOAT is no longer fighting in their weight class.
So there's a cloud of, you got a lot to prove in that division for the division to even be taken serious, because subconsciously we all know that there was somebody here who none of y'all could beat anyway.
But you were talking about Jamahal Hill ceiling though, and I think people were thinking that
They kind of think that Jamal wasn't gonna do nothing with the belt. That's what it was.
I know, and we will never. I guess I don't know if we ever see.
Well, we're gonna have to wait to see
champion and him defend it to see what would happen.
But I'm saying Jiri was in that same spot, and they were perfectly fine with Jiri being ranked super high on the pound for pound.
Ooh.
They didn't have no problem with putting Jiri way above.
Checkmate.
Man, they would have never had Brandon Moreno ranked ahead of Jiri. I keep saying Jiri, but they would have never had Brandon Moreno ranked above Jiri. The beating Jiri took from Glover, are you kidding me?
We ended on that one.
Oh my, 10-8, that's another 10-8 round.
Let's end it on that note.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell at the top so you can be notified when we drop new videos. And most importantly, leave a comment. We are a commentary channel, so we're giving our opinion, but we want to hear your opinion as well. So don't just disagree with what we say and say it in the comments like, oh, I don't like what you're saying. Like, leave a comment so we can go back and forth and exchange perspectives and everything.